And so Airat is asking, today, during the Srimad Bhagavatam reading, I heard a beautiful saying that our consciousness is on the point of an arrow. Can we use this saying for japa? Unfortunately, I haven't heard the Bhagavatam today, and it's like you are speaking within a particular context. It would be nice to know the context of our consciousnesses on the point of an arrow. If you hear us now, Airat, could you please add the meaning, the context of this phrase, and I shall try to pray that Krishna gives me some reason to answer this correctly. So you're asking with regards to japa. Paul is asking, is it possible to make the form of Krishna simply as a sculpture if you have no qualification? Yes, this is possible. It will simply be a sculpture. That is fine. This is better than making statues of naked people. To make Krishna, this is very great fortune. But perhaps find some knowledge of how to do this correctly. There are people called stapatis, and they have the information and the knowledge of how to correctly make sculptures, and not even sculptures, and with what mood you should make these deities of Krishna. This is very useful skill, especially for us in the Soviet Union. Nobody is doing this. And we do not know how much time it will take for us to commence again our travels to India. So your talent can be very useful for us. It's just like you are drawing. There is no qualification, but you are able to draw Krishna. Similarly, a sculpture is like a painting, but it is in sculpture form. Anna is asking, at the moment there are no great demons, but there is a lot of degradation. Why is this happening? This is not a degradation yet. There are no great demons. We are still living comfortably. We are reading spiritual texts. There is freedom of spiritual path. Degradation is just a beginning. It's a very small introduction to Kali Yuga. It's not the end. Therefore, this is not such a powerful degradation. How much time we had to go to holy places in India, which is a cradle of spiritual places. We were able to do this with no problem. So at the moment now we're just sharing our karma. Some people sin, but we all get this discomfort. This coronavirus is because of sins. It's not that it appeared out of nowhere. The sin of the planet has affected us in this way. Even in the times of Srila Prabhupada, he was saying, these sins will just overflood the planet and the whole planet will suffer. So, we're not expecting anything good, and you don't need great demons for this. When great demons are here, then they are just killing saintly people. They are destroying temples, complete atheism. But at the moment there is still some light. Degradation is because Kali Yuga is defined and is symbolized by degradation. It is the yuga of degradation. And for this you don't even need to be a demon. But demons are there. They will always do their business here. They will build their infrastructures to enslave the consciousness of people. But Krishna says, where there is, Sanjaya says, where there is Krishna and Arjuna, there will always be victory. And Krishna says that evil will never overcome him who does good. Therefore, we are always able to do good deeds and help, because demons also require enlightenment. Their souls are similarly sleeping. And a devotee does not see the difference between demigods and demons. They are all suffering in one way or another. Simply, the demigods are not feeling this a great deal, or they're not feeling it at all, but demons are suffering and can't do anything about this. And who are devotees? They are those who help everyone. Just like Narada Muni, he is a guru for everyone. Demons were worshipping him, demigods were worshipping him, and he helps them all. But degradation is due to this yuga of degradation. Olga is asking, when a person is learning, even if you have a genius idea, is it better not to distract it? When a person is on Srimad Bhagavatam, it's better not to engage him even in handiwork. When you want to speak with someone, it's better not to speak about yourself in order to not to cultivate the ego. When somebody is chanting japa, it's better not to distract them. Am I correct in saying that our life is consistent of these small details in our etiquette, which in whole either help us in our practice or slow us down? And we must learn how to control these actions, to do something or to say something. So there is spiritual life, and this in full is not big celebrations, but it is also these small details. Yes, the small details, they are holding together the foundation. Even the small details also destroy everything. It is said that the devil's in the detail. He cannot attack in great ways, but in small details, like a small fish hook, it's very small, and there's a tiny, tiny string which you cannot even see. If you grab the person with it, a person will walk and he will feel like something's pushing him back, but with a bit of effort he will break free from it, so he will not be held by it. But if there are many of these little hooks and many strings, a person won't even be able to walk from his place. Therefore, in this way, the details are aid in order to uphold our foundation. Therefore, everywhere in the spiritual path, it doesn't matter whether you're reading books, everywhere you must be cautious and aware of the details. Be very attentive. Remember where in the Bhagavatam these details appeared, which destroyed the whole spiritual life. For example, Jagat Bharata, who was in his former life Bharat. Such a small detail, a small deer, caused him 3 times to become reborn. 3 lifetimes he had to be reborn. This was the first way he was caught out. Then he was in the body of the deer, then he was Jagat Bharat, where he had to go through so much effort. Then where else? Diti, she wanted to give birth to a son who would kill Indra, and she asked Kashyapa Muni, to give her knowledge of a vrata, of a vow, in order to go through some austerity, in order to give birth to a son who would kill Indra. And he said to her, "You must do this, 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 but if you do not do this to the very letter, if you're not completely correct in carrying out this vow, then it will be unsuccessful." And so, such a small detail, she did not wash her mouth, and Indra was waiting for this moment. And so, this is an example. Usually we don't want to go into the details. We don't want to do these things like washing your mouth after food, washing your hands, to wash the counters on which we are sleeping or we are cooking on. We must get up, wash the space where we are sleeping, bow down to the spiritual master. There's a lot of etiquette. Women think sometimes you can walk around with hair loose, but there is a word which is loose woman, and loose hair symbolizes this. If you go in India, where there is the Vedic culture with your hair loose, you will be looked at like a loose woman. No matter if you're educated or married happily, they will look at you like somebody who's loose. They will come to you and want to take pictures with you, but you are a married woman. So it's such a simple thing. This isn't important, but everything is important, because it will seem like it is fine. They will look at you and they will see tamaguna. He will look at you with compassion and think, uneducated, uncultured person, and he will show compassion and he will just pray for that person. He will think, "Oh dear Lord, how are these people conducting their lives?" So you must always look at the details. Thank you for your question, Olga. And you reminded a lot of people about these things. Paul is asking, yesterday you said if we sleep outside, then we spend less time sleeping. Could you please share your experience of how to organize a sleeping place outside? This is not an austerity. It doesn't matter whether you're sleeping upstairs in a big flat building. Go to a village. You can sleep on the balcony. One time I just slept on the balcony, even during the winter time. I was just beginning the spiritual life, but I was already understanding the importance of sleeping outside. But your body must be inclined to this. You must have a lot of fire energy within your body to warm yourself up, because if you get very cold during the night time, you shouldn't risk this. But austerities are done not for the benefit. He who is on the spiritual path, he is not conducting austerities for some sort of good result. For a devotee, austerities is part of life. It is part of an offering to God. He is not waiting for some benefit. If you are doing something for your own benefit, it is no longer bhakti yoga, it is karma kanda, it is action for the fruitive results. Austerities we carry out in order to please the Lord. In the Bhagavad-gita it is said, whatever you do, whatever you eat, do this as an offering to me. And when you're doing it as an offering to someone, you shouldn't wait for a result. Otherwise it is no longer an offering. It is contaminated with own interest. If you're doing it as a proper offering, it is selfless, and selflessness is a foundation of love. Therefore, carry out austerity as an offering to the Lord, and then it will no longer be an austerity, it will give you fulfillment. Sleep outside because for the body it is good. And the body is the property of the Lord. It is not our property. He gave this to us temporarily. And therefore we look after it in order to please the Lord, in order not to damage his property. And the benefit you will feel in any case, because any austerity gives strength. You will get strength. In any way, you will get this strength. And so, you judge for yourself how you will be able to do this. Outside, how you sleep, put a mat, put something under your head, but not a big fluffy pillow. Just a little pillow with maybe some grains inside, and it will take the form of your head like it should be and give a good result. On the solid ground, do not risk this. So something wooden, which won't put you in direct contact with the earth. A tent is quite good. A tent is fantastic. It is also outside. A tent is outside. You get fresh air all the time. Outside, the benefit is that you have fresh air all the time. If you have in your house fresh air constantly, then it's the same as sleeping outside. It's very good if you're out in the nature and you're in a tent. If you're in your own house, put a tent outside, sleep there. It's very good for you. So this is my answer. And so the last question, perhaps. Lyudmila is asking, in our report to the spiritual master, should we give examples of these sort of details of our spiritual practice? Because we just want to please him. You shouldn't write these small details. It depends on the spiritual master. If he has only a few disciples, then you can go into these details. But if he has many disciples, 5,000 and more, then it's very unlikely that he will sit and read all of this, and then you will sit and become upset. Why doesn't he read my letters? And so you might commit a guru aparad and fall down. He already knows everything. If you're sincere, then he knows everything already. If you have tilak on your forehead, the sign of Vishnu, then that means the spiritual master knows that you have got up, washed yourself, and you have tilak all over your body, and with these symbols we have protected our body. That means our body is clean, our clothes are clean, and we have sung our prayers. Then the Guru will automatically know that you are doing all of this. I'm just giving you a simple example. Some people just put tilak and their body is unclean. But the Guru does Lord Chaitanya was giving education to the children in the morning. He was looking at them all, and all of a sudden he'd see someone without tilak. He would tell them to go home, do his spiritual duties, and then come for education. So he just didn't see tilak. He understood that this morning he did nothing, didn't wash, didn't do his service of prayers, didn't read any books, didn't do anything, didn't wake up the deities. So go, do your duties, and then come back. Similarly, you will write to the spiritual master about some sort of good factors in your spiritual life, but do not write about the details. If you have a connection with the spiritual master, you live for him. He will know everything about you. What you do, how, so you don't need to write the details. But it depends on your relationship. Maybe you can write these details if your relationship allows you to do it, if you read your letters and answers them. So you can write. So this is not forbidden. There is no limitation. Only your relationship can reveal these intricacies. Daniel is writing. At the moment, there are many seminars on Zoom or Skype. There is no opportunity to share Matajis and Prabhus, and on the one screen you can see everyone. How do we protect ourselves from lust towards the opposite sex in this case? Can't avoid looking because all the faces are mixed together. I'm sure there are some capabilities to do such a thing on the screen that you can't see anybody but the person who's leading, or you can just hear the voice. This is one point, but this is a technical thing which won't help if you have this tendency towards looking and thinking. You must also understand that these are people's wives. You must understand that there are somebody's wives, somebody's mothers. There is somebody who does not belong to you, and perhaps none of them, in fact, belong to you. They already belong to somebody. They are somebody's wives, mothers, and daughters, so it's somebody's property. This is one point on which to meditate. The other point is, you must try to be attentive to what is being spoken. So engage your listening. You must listen carefully, because the mind has this tendency to act through only one sense. For men, in any case, it must only act through one sense into what is happening. So if we engage it in listening and go to the point of discussion, then these forms will not be interesting to you. They do not exist. You can look behind the notebook and understand there is nobody there. This is not live, what you are seeing. This is a body. This body is not alive. Even if it was in front of you, you must understand that this thing is not alive. It is only a mixture of guts, bones, excretion, urine, skin, and you must understand that this is not alive. What is alive is the consciousness. In any case, just try to do this. You must understand that keep trying. At first it might not work, but if you do this time after time, then you'll understand that this is the reality. So concentrate on the point of discussion in Skype or in Zoom, then your vision will not get distracted. Understand, I am hearing somebody talking. Remove the vision from your monitor. Have an image of the Lord or the spiritual master and look at him and listen. Look at the Guru or Krishna and listen. What are they talking about? Make the screen dark and listen. It's very important to listen during these meetings, not the sight. As soon as you lose concentration during listening, then your mind will say, okay, let's look at something. If it's not interested to listen, then it will search for forms. So try different approaches, this way and this way, and then find your method which will help you. Another point is that these are all external and internal, they're all mixed. Attempt to think, why do I have this tendency to throw myself at the female? Because you can just turn off the computer, but you'll still walk around and think about women. It's not a question of they're together or separate. You have Skype for men, for women. You can turn on 2 Skypes, but this will not change the situation. So in the heart we have this desire for physical pleasure. So somewhere you must understand the principle. A person will look at something else, where there's female form or a male form if you're a woman. And it stays in the consciousness. And then as soon as you see a man or a woman, the opposite sex, then automatically this mechanism will be triggered. I want to enjoy this body. But this body is created from the elements. It's not alive. How do you enjoy it? Be conscious of what else you allow your mind to observe. Food, when you're making food, who is making it? What mood is it made with? It's very important to know this also. If a woman is making it and she is in the mood of a lacking of male energy, then be aware that you're the target of that male energy. So be cautious of the food. What food are you making? It's very easy to feel. Eat the food, and in a few minutes, in an hour, half an hour, if in your mind some sort of cockroaches are activating, then the food is not being made with correct mood. Even a little, if you have this sensitivity, you will realize. So from different directions you must protect yourself. We're not talking about men or women at the moment, we're talking about the opposite sex. It can be for men or for women. And always treat with respect the opposite energy, with reverence and respect. It is the energy of Srimati Radharani. Respect it, or you will be cursed for your life, and not for just one life, and you won't be able to escape this maze. In the female form you're thinking, oh, we are women, we're abandoned, You will be born as a man in the next life, and then you will think, these women are so useless, they're not helping, and just you would already have booked yourself a ticket to the female form or the male form. So in this way you're drowning your lives for millions and millions of lives. Be always cautious in your thoughts. As soon as the cockroaches come to your head, then immediately bow down to the feet of that personality and do this very sincerely, and then you will be protected. Another question, is it possible to ask an astrologer to make plans for the future and to see what you need to work on? Yes, it's fine, as long as the astrologer is a devotee and he has a guru who gave him blessings to do astrology. Because if they do this off their own initiative, then they can tell you the wrong thing. Because now astrology is not a very easily attainable for consciousness of people. To make plans for the future, to be clear of what to work on. Work on your egoism, humility, patience, and reverence of others. The plan for the future is to be prepared for leaving the body. This is your future. Soon you will leave this body. The rest of the future shouldn't be interesting to you. It's all very illusory. Will it be or will it not be? No astrologer will tell you for certain what will happen to you, but definitely you will leave this body. Therefore, be prepared. So have these plans for the future, to be ready for leaving this body. Begin now, because you can leave your body tomorrow, and no astrologer will tell you this. This is very important. Every day be prepared to leave this body. In your consciousness, prepare it so it is spiritual. Continuously remember Krishna, remember the name of Krishna, pray on your beads, carry out pujas and prayers at the altar, in temples, in churches, in chapels. Just keep immersing yourself. As soon as you leave that place, just carry on and remember your actions in that holy place, wherever you were. Keep thinking about how to improve it, but at the same time, do some things which help you to maintain your life. Think about God, think about the Holy Scriptures, because at any point you can exit the body and leave it. And what will be in your consciousness? If you're thinking, oh, how am I going with the astrologer and something, can you imagine in such a consciousness you die? That means you will get another birth, not a fact that it will be human birth. So think about God, this is better, this will be the best, and you won't go wrong. You will gain something spiritually beneficial. So elevate your consciousness a little higher. Of course, Eugenie, I haven't told you anything about your question. Didn't answer any of your questions, what you would have expected. But at least I have attempted to tell you something useful, which will definitely help you in this meditation. And you won't go wrong. You won't lose anything, you will only gain. And so, think about God constantly, think about Him, and what you need to work on. Humility, patience, and respect for everyone.
Тринадцать писуничина, Тарора писа хишнуна, Аманина аманадина.
These three things. The humility of grass, the patience of trees and tolerance of trees and respect for others and expect no respect to yourself. In this way, Kirtaniya Sadahari, you can sing the holy names constantly. Paul is asking, my friend wants me to be his godfather for his child. Can I be the godfather of this child if I am not yet crystal clear about my spiritual path and do not practice a Christian faith? It's a very great responsibility to be a godfather. A godfather is he who takes the spiritual responsibility for the child. He is a spiritual teacher. He who takes responsibility. Think about it. If you're ready, if you have, doesn't matter what tradition you're in, if you have plans of action, how you're going to take care of this child, if you have an agreement with the parents of this child, that they completely trust you, that you will lead this child in a spiritual path and take care of his education, particularly, specifically in spiritual life, and you will dedicate your whole life to this, that this person will be a spiritual being. If you're confident with this, and that you know that the parents of this child won't obstruct you and will support you in this, then nothing bad in this. It's very good to take responsibility for children. But if you are doubting this, if you don't have this determination and confidence that you can, for your whole life, take care of this spiritual son or daughter, then it's not a question of ritual right. You can help that child in any case. This happens. Usually this happens that if you become a spiritual master, a spiritual godfather of a child, you have just conducted this ritual in the church, and then you go home and then you have a big celebration with alcohol and meat eating, then this is a joke. This is useless. Just a title of godfather, but what are you doing? What are you doing with your own life, first of all? And then you're taking responsibility for somebody else's spiritual life. You yourself will go to hell for so many lives, and you're dragging this child as well with you. And the parents also don't understand who they are inviting. As long as there's a relative, but what this relative has in his head. So this is very tragic. But if you are a worthy person, you must support, even if you're not formally a godfather, just become a neutral person who is guiding this child in any case, giving him your association. In this way you won't have any responsibility, but inside you will feel this relationship with this child and help him in any way you can. Elena is asking, the child is a vegetarian. At the moment there is a need to give him to the kindergarten, but there is a great battle between the colleagues there. I live in a small town, but I am upset that I must go to work. There is this need to go to work. How important is it for his future? Yes, of course, you must fight for the future of this child. However you can. Fight for the future. This will return to you. many times over. Fight for this child. Do not let this meat enter his mouth, otherwise his intelligence will become corrupted. You must try your best not to let this happen. Even if you try to restore his consciousness, it will be very difficult if he eats meat. I know many women who are raising the child themselves. They're not giving them to kindergartens just because they are protecting the future of the child. It's very dangerous. People don't understand even why in scriptures Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is always referring to the meat eaters. He is putting them in classes of something inhumane. This is not a human existence, to eat meat. Not to eat, but to indulge in meat. This is in the state of an animal already, consciousness of an animal, so be very careful. It seems very sectarian or religious. No, this is just common sense. This is good reasoning. You must not have in your food something which is not able to absorb by your body. Just like poison. Do not eat poison. If somebody eats meat food, he will never understand God. This is impossible. Even Jesus said to one of his disciples, she came to him and he said, if you want to understand God, stop eating meat. And in the same day, she stopped eating meat. Pray to Krishna, whatever tradition you are in, and pray, and he will somehow give you intelligence and success in this, and you will overcome this problem. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you for this association and this realizations. These are not simply questions, but these are your realizations, what you are living now. And all together, during our marathon, we are helping each other. I wish you strength, health, physical and emotional and spiritual. Keep your determination.